Hello and welcome to Australian Transformers Weekly. We are bringing you Transformers news from around the world, mostly around the world this week, and across Australia, maybe a little bit here and there. This is episode 264. We're recording live on Saturday, October 29th, 2022. And if you are listening to this a week later via a podcast app, stop it now, head over to our YouTube channel where you'll find this podcast recorded live, or join the Transformers Collectors Club Australia Facebook group where you can watch it live along with everyone who comments live during the recording. This week, we will be talking about HasLab's latest crowdfunding project. I think people who've seen the thumbnail know what it is. Rise of the Beasts has a marketing campaign set to start up in December, and somebody has set Roboson's photocopier to 80% and fled the building. All of that and more is coming up in this week's episode after this. Good evening, everyone. Tonight, I am joined by Mikey, coming to us from the western suburbs of Sydney. Oddly enough, an hour away from me, no matter which form of transport I take to get to him. How are you doing, Mikey?
Yeah, good, very good. Fresh off
you've got your Steve Jobs look going there with the black top.
Black?
And
yeah. Oh, it's just a bit of a polo shirt, but all right.
Looks very
Needs a bit of a high neck, I think.
Yeah,
it does. But if you angle the microphone up slightly, that will make up for it.
No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good with my own brand. I don't need to look like old Jobsy. I've been good. Fresh off a successful, I guess you can kind of call it a TCCA meetup thing yesterday.
One person who attended did.
Yeah.
And
true.
Posted photos of it in the TCCA Facebook group. So
yep.
Fair enough. Yes, we had a bit of a gathering at Mikey's place last night. Things were said, drinks were consumed, and I believe someone woke up by the pool at 3 a.m. Wait,
I won't say that.
No, that's yet to be confirmed. Sorry,
that he's woken. Yes, hasn't confirmed that he's alive. It was a really good night. Lots of toys were shared. You were the bearer of lots of goodies, and I ended up. It's really surprising. This is the first time I had a massive toy haul where not one thing was Transformers related. Half of it was DC. Half of it was Marvel.
There's a button to remove Mikey from the podcast.
I'll just
I'll just removed from the show, banned from the Facebook group.
Sorry, what's that?
From
Marvel Legends ban.
Wrong
podcast.
Wrong podcast. I'm so sorry. But it was a great night, and I'm glad everyone had a good time.
Excellent. And someone who did not come to Mikey's place last night, coming to us from over in Adelaide. Max, how are you doing there?
I'm all right. The civilized lands west of the Great Dividing Range, having a good time. Mostly not having to travel an hour to get to someone's house in the same city.
This is the civilized lands. Where did this come from? I've been to Adelaide.
Self-proclaimed.
Yeah,
I said. Do you remember the last time you were in Adelaide? I think I just got horrendously sick. It was barely functional for 2 days, if I remember correctly.
Jason has that effect on people.
So you were.
I walk in the room and Max started projectile vomiting. In fact, that was a very long time ago. I feel like it was like 2018 or so. I came over for one of the toy fairs.
I think it was before. I think I was in high school. It might have been that long ago. No, it might have been the first year of uni. Actually, it was a long time ago.
That's right. No, so you weren't in high school because you were allowed to actually drink a beer. So that's okay. That's how we judge these things.
Does that really stop us these days, really?
Either way, it was a long bloody time ago, which means I probably need to get off my ass and make the effort to get to something in Sydney at some point.
Well, I was actually just thinking that I haven't been to Adelaide for a long time, so I should probably head over there.
Okay, here's the plan. Jason will go to Adelaide and Max will come to Sydney, and you'll just miss each other.
We can actually do it like an episode of Quantum Leap, where like one of us leaps into the other's body and stuff. We had a good chat about Quantum Leap at Mikey's place last night, but Mikey was not a part of the conversation. So,
I'll put on some glasses.
That
you
reference
can put
is
on a few
completely
kilos.
Yeah,
No one will ever know.
I have to. I don't think I have to put on a few kilos. Believe me. Yes. Anyway, how are you doing, gentlemen? It's been a big week and a half in Transformers news. This week's episode is seriously going to dent people's wallets, I feel. At least, or is it just me?
No, it's not just you.
I'm certainly not complaining. You know, we sometimes go for a month and then we reconvene and nothing's actually happened to talk about.
Yeah.
So, having a consistent show and then all of a sudden there's lots of big expensive news. Certainly not going to complain.
Well, I'm actually curious to see why Jason wants one of the specific items when we get to it, but because it's just confusing to me. But when we get to it, I'll ask the question.
I'm not sure which one is confusing, but let's.
He knows you better than you do yourself.
I do. I'm actually in the other room of your house right now. This is
I have done this before. Like we have done a podcast with like two people in my house in different rooms. In fact, Max and I have done a podcast on the same camera as well, which is when he was really stupidly sick and when I was in Adelaide last. Let's start with some news, shall we? We've gone an entire 7 minutes into the podcast without talking about the news of the week. Let's talk about some releases. We like to lead off the news with some release information. It is nearly a new month. We are recording this on the cusp of Halloween. So Transformers tend to come out at the start of each month. And that means that all the new Transformers are starting to make their way out into retail shelves and stores around Australia now, because they're shipping into retailers, and sometimes they don't really care about embargoed release dates. So sightings this week have included Studio Series Hot Rod and Crosshairs, Studio Series 86 Ironhide, Studio Series The Fallen, which caused a little bit of confusion hitting pop culture this week as to whether or not it was actually going to be the Fallen, but it turns out it was. And I'm not sure that we've actually talked about this guy hitting Australian retail before, but Legacy Cybertron Metroplex is out and super expensive. It's something like $330 or $350.
Yep.
Are you guys interested in either of any of these figures coming out?
Yes. So I tried really hard to convince myself that I didn't need Metroplex. And seeing as DNA Designs have released Drill Bit, which was the only thing missing from Metroplex to really sell it to me, Drill Bit's the Minicon. I think I will be getting him. But as we all know, Titans do this thing where, they're like $330, outrageous, and then all the people that want him first go and get him.
Mm-hmm.
But if you wait,
I did this with the Arc last year, and then I immediately regretted it.
Right, wait a couple of months, he'll go down to like 100, 150, and that's a very reasonable price for a Titan. So, it's one of those ones. Especially this guy, is one that I'm happy to wait for and possibly even miss, but I doubt I will because it's just how these things. It's just how Titans work, really. So yeah, Titan, and then the DNA design kit. I'm actually getting another DNA kit for a Titan. Actually, thank you, Simon. I've got to be in touch with Mr. Chambers because he has the upgrade kit for the Arc, and he had a spare one, and I'm going to purchase that off him. And then
he was showing that off on our Wednesday night chat.
Yeah. And I'm going to upgrade him, and then I'm going to start bringing the Arc to conventions and show him off because I think he's really worth, especially in the spaceship mode, showing off. So especially with the upgrade kit because it makes him look even better.
It's true. Yeah, in thinking about what we display at conventions, it has sort of occurred to me that I probably should take the Arc. But if you're going to bring him, then fair enough too.
I'll bring him. Look, if I can save you bringing something, I will bring it.
Fair enough. So So, actually, Max, what about yourself? You after any of those Studio Series figures? Or are you going to collect yourself a Cybertron Metroplex?
To be quite frank, I pretend Revenge of the Fallen doesn't exist. And also,
That is a good idea.
We'll confess, I've never watched Cybertron. So, admittedly, while I'm buying
You've
more
not watched
retail than I used,
Cybertron?
I marathoned the whole thing a few years
Yeah,
back.
Jason.
And I like Armada, as everyone loves Armada.
Yeah, right.
And then you watch Energon, and you reach the end, and you go, "Wow, that was awful." But I've heard Cybertron's better. And then you watch the first few episodes of Cybertron, and it's just as bad. And so,
no, okay.
I'm sure it probably gets better later on.
Keep going.
But
you got to keep consistent with it.
I reached my
disappointment in Mikey's voice. It's like
Cybertron is beloved by
crescendo, and then
yeah.
I will say, just the design identity of the show is like there's some beautifully designed characters there.
Like I
can see why that's sort of test of time.
Yeah, I haven't watched anything in the I haven't watched anything in the Unicron trilogy. Like I've seen bits of Armada, and I've seen bits of Armada and bits of Energon, very few bits. And I think I watched about half of Galaxy Force, which was the Japanese version of Cybertron with fan subs on it until I think I watched it for long enough to realize that the fans doing the subbing really didn't know what they were doing. And then at that point, I just sort of dropped off, and I was just like, yeah, no, I don't miss it. However, you're right about the designs. Like some of the designs from those shows are just astonishingly good. Mikey and I are excited about Red Alert, even though I've not watched the media that. Sorry, not Red Alert. Hotshot. Even though we haven't watched the. I haven't watched the media that Hotshot's a part of.
And I was about to say, don't you dare say we. I grew up on Armada. I
know you. I know you have. But also I find I don't know how. I don't know why. But no matter how often it comes up, if it's years between it or between seeing it or not, Galaxy Force Prime is just an absolutely beautiful Optimus Prime design.
It's
every time I see it, every time I see it, I just stop and look at it and like, yeah, that's really nice.
A third party is trying to improve on it, but in all honesty, like other than like a couple of bits of articulation, there's not much that can be improved on the original, Galaxy Force or Cybertron Optimus Prime. He is just a big chunky fun toy, and when leader classes were like gigantic, like they were huge and had play features and were just really cool toys. And that unfortunately the Siege one doesn't come anywhere near to replicating how amazing that figure, that mold is, unfortunately.
And I think it's
there's a bit of love for these shows here in the comments there. Chris says he loved Armada but couldn't get into Energon or Cybertron. I couldn't get into either of them. It's okay. And sorry, Max, what were you going to say there?
I was just saying, in terms of designs, I think it's I think we mentioned on the last show in reference to the Armada stuff, and a lot of it is the same sort of design language and overall aesthetic as a lot of G1 stuff, but it's entirely new designs. So you have things like like Galaxy Force Prime, Armada Starscream. These things still pop up now as new toys, and they don't look like some outdated design language. Say you have created that Beast Machines figure in the modern day, it's probably not going to look very good. That's just the nature of things.
Beast Machines figures never look good.
No, but like certain aesthetics age with the times, and I don't think we've really seen any of the aesthetics for the Unicron trilogy age per se. Like it's very timeless stuff.
What I will say is that I think things age all the time, but also fashion moves in about a 13-year cycle, and so people's appreciation and aesthetics for how things look when people are wearing clothes, that moves through a particular cycle, and maybe there's a particular cycle for toys like that as well. My personal take on like the Unicron trilogy designs is that they were faithful to the original stuff had it been designed in the early 2000s. Like there's different technology and different manufacturing processes that are available to the people who are designing those toys. Also different rules in terms of like, whether things need to survive drop tests, whether you use ball joints, hinges, ratchets, things like that. And so they were very much a modern reimagining of those characters, but also seemed consistent. They played fast and loose with some characters, and that's fine.
I was talking about this to someone yesterday. So basically, the Armada toys were designed to be toys, So they were designed for their gimmick, like gimmick first, and then the rest of the Transformer later. So like that's why notoriously, Hotshot isn't an amazing figure, and that's why everyone's so excited to have a really good one. Because basically the gimmick does take away from a lot from that toy. So they kind of learned from this going forward to to Energon. And then they kind of, in my opinion, they kind of perfected it with Cybertron because they did have gimmicks, but they didn't really necessarily hamper or ruin the toy, kind of like Armada. No, I wouldn't say ruin because the toys are really cool, but like hamper the toy like the Armada versions were.
Yeah, that also seems fair. A couple of comments from the chat. Energon Rodimus looked effing boss. Chris, you're absolutely right. I have in the next week or two, I should have a new and interesting version of Energon Rodimus being added into my collection. So come acquisitions time, we'll talk about that. And Rob Franklin says the kids who enjoyed the Unicron trilogy are now the ones who've grown up and collecting toys, spending more money. Mikey's waving, but I assume that's because he wants to be counted among all of these people who've grown up. But we'll see about that.
You're not allowed in my house again. Anyway,
yeah, fair enough. We'll talk about that. We'll see. Your dog will miss me. But yeah.
No, he will.
So all right, let's get ourselves back on track talking about like local releases and stuff. So while we are talking about releases, we do want to also mention that there are confirmed restocks of Velocitron figures going out at Kmart stores around the country. So if there is a figure from that line that you're after, keep looking because stock is being refreshed all the time at these stores. Like we've seen people pick up Cosmos at Kmart in the last couple of weeks. So like this stuff still happens. If you really can't find something, you can also use TCCA's buy sell trade group on Facebook to see if someone else in the community can pick one up and post it to you as well. So there's always options and there's always ways to get this stuff. In terms of other releases from overseas, we are seeing releases of Shattered Glass Slicer and Exosuit, which is a figure that's not coming to Australia. They are coming out in the US at the moment. So if you are looking for Shattered Glass Slicer, you will probably have to go and import him. The other releases coming out overseas at the moment are pretty much generally the same things that we've got for local release for Studio Series at the moment. There are also core figures. They haven't turned up yet, but there's Core Rumble and Core Dark of the Moon Laserbeak, they should be turning up soon as well. This month.
I'm keen for Laserbeak because he's oh boy, was he an interesting character in that movie. He straight up murdered kids, so he was an evil bugger.
Yeah, to be in all honesty, I don't actually remember Laserbeak having such a large role in movies.
Well, his role was to go and assassinate like the members of, I can't remember the moon landing team or whatever, and their families. So he did actually kill. Yeah, I think
it was the people for I just rewatched this movie like a month ago.
Good. Excellent.
It was the people who the Decepticons had coerced into collaborating with them to hide on Earth.
Yeah.
So, like I remember I forget all the actors' names now, but yeah, various people.
Ken Jeong was one of them. Ken Jeong.
Yeah, it was like this humorous scene of this guy getting thrown out a window.
Yeah, there's a humorous scene of a guy getting thrown out a window.
So that's the part that I remember. I don't remember anything about Laserbeak going to the moon.
Well, so there was this one. There was this one scene where he came down in Falcon Vulture mode, whatever it is, and then he turned into the pink bumblebee and then confronted a little girl on a swing. and it was heavily implied that he actually killed her and then went on to kill the rest of the family. So, and if you read the book, he does actually go on and kill a lot of people, including children. So he's a sicko, that Laserbeak.
And we are celebrating the release of the Core Class Sicko this month.
And I want to say that he's
coming soon to Amazon stockists near you.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's enough. That's enough talk about toy releases. Let's get on to the news. There's a couple of big news stories for us to cover off. The first is the official launch of DEATHSAURUS from the Transformers Victory universe as Hasbro's new HasLab crowdfunding project. This kind of took us by surprise on. Was it yesterday morning? I think it was Saturday morning. Or was it Friday morning? I don't know.
I think it was maybe Friday.
Maybe it was Friday. Yeah,
it was
no
Friday Arvo. I think.
It was actually yesterday. So, sorry, everyone's right. Yesterday is Friday. And
oh my God! Yes, right. Yeah, right.
Friday was the 28th of October, and it was the Hasbro 1027 event, which is why it played out Friday morning our time.
Yeah.
There we go. We've worked this out. So Victory Universe DEATHSAURUS is HasLab page has been up and running for a little while. I think I've lost the tab with it. Never mind. I'll open that up and find it later. Yeah, it's been around for a day and a half. He's nearly halfway to his backing goal of 11,000 backers. He's the same price as Victory Saber, his arch nemesis, coming in at US $179.99, so $180. We haven't seen this campaign launch locally here yet, but anecdotally, we would expect it to be at EB Games and Zing. Maybe it might end up at other stores now as well. I don't know whether or not other Australian retailers will be into the HasLab stuff as well, but. I would
or it just shows up at JB Hi-Fi, $50.
Yeah, it might just rock up, but yeah.
Who knows anymore?
So, well, to be perfectly honest, that's unlikely. But it is interesting. It is interesting the comments that you see when this stuff happens, because DEATHSAURUS is obviously a companion piece for Victory Saber, and so there's now a bunch of people who didn't back Victory Saber who are really wanting a second bite of that cherry, and it's like, well. You know, I can understand them wanting a shot at that because they didn't buy it previously, but now it's sort of like, well, you didn't back the first one, so you know we don't really owe you another shot at it.
It's been a
people will want to have both
thing.
of them.
There is a bit of like I backed Star Saber specifically because I didn't back earlier HasLab things and went, well, now I monumentally regret that. So
you regret not getting a Unicron. Is that what you're saying?
Not a Unicron, and then the Sentinel as well was just like you know wasn't terribly priced, and it was now you're going to spend over $1,000, and like it's at that point I'm never going to buy this thing. So like it's like you'll rationalize that I'll never own this figure. So Star Saber, it was an instant, absolutely jump on that. Like there's no question.
But
I think there's been a bit of talk recently. People are saying, well, now they expect the aftermarket value of of Victory Saber to go up even further. Like once it does eventually release, because now you're going to have these people backing DEATHSAURUS because they have FOMO after Victory Saber, and then all of a sudden, well, now they're going to want the companion piece to DEATHSAURUS. So. Victory Saber is probably going to go even further in price on the aftermarket.
It's an interesting thing. Like I know with Unicron, Hasbro did promise with Unicron like we're never going to re-release it. I don't know if they ever really made that promise with Victory Saber. So I do wonder if there is some scope for them to actually do some kind of a retail release or a limited release with Victory Saber again, and maybe just not pack in some of the extras or anything like that, or remove some of the things, or just make some difference so it's obvious that you're not on the crowd-funded version when you get it. But like that desire to have the set of them is going to be really strong. And there's a lot of comments out there saying, we really want to have both of them, but we didn't back Victory Saber because we thought it was just going to be a one-off, and that's also kind of fair enough. Going through a couple of things in the comments there, I do want to pick up one thing saying EB Games charges twice the cost AUD 360. Look, it's easy to look at that and say, yes, they've just doubled the price. However, I actually expect that the price for this in Australia is probably not going to be 360. I reckon it's probably going to be closer to 400 or 420 because the Australian dollar is shit at the moment. And I think I don't see the Australian dollar improving anytime soon. Given the things that are happening in the world and the cost of living going up and inflation going crazy, I reckon the price will be a little bit higher than that for bringing it in. You got to remember that we have to pay GST on these things. They don't import for free as well. So I mean, EB Games is actually a business and needs to make money. You can import these things from other places and toy shops around Asia for now. And actually, I found a toy shop in Singapore offering a Unicron for sale for someone this week as well. So there is a bit of an aftermarket for these things, and there is a bit of a chance to go at these things. Rob also brings up an interesting point. What about the aftermarket for Masterpiece Star Saber? That's been on the aftermarket for years, but I also feel like people didn't really like Masterpiece Star Saber at the time. Have you guys got him?
No, I've just heard nothing but negatives about him.
What's the negatives?
But he's just apparently really poorly put together. Like
Right.
just loose and floppy and not.
He's very different to the rest of the Masterpiece range.
Well, let's hope this doesn't happen with the one that's coming up.
I think, technically speaking, isn't the HasLab version is actually more expensive than the Masterpiece was.
Well, yeah, but you also get Victory later, so
Yeah, and it is like 5 or so years, more than 5 years after that with the current inflation crisis. So it's not like the worst thing in the world, but it is interesting that that's happened. Like where you are paying more for the Generations version than the Masterpiece.
I'm pretty sure that Masterpiece Star Saber was like 8 or 9 years ago now.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Jesus, really?
Yeah, I think so because 5 years ago was like when I saw you in Adelaide. That was a long time after Star Saber came out, I think.
Oh God,
I'm clicking to see. We'll see.
Post-pandemic world, I've just lost track of any semblance of the passage of time.
2018. So you're about right, I think. Maybe 5, maybe 6 years or so. Yeah.
I just wanted to point out, I kind of had a feeling that we were going to get DEATHSAURUS when there was announcement of Victory Saber. So that drew me to, like, it was never a confirmed thing or a sure thing. But I mean, even if you're not a huge fan of the character, which I'm not, but I'm a fan of good toys. And if you look at Victory Saber, it's just a really fun looking set. So the fact that there was a chance of, if this goes well and it reaches all of its goals, which it did, I believe. I think we've got all the goals for Victory Saber.
I feel like Victory Saber missed one final goal. One of the.
I think it. I'm gonna check again now, but I'm pretty sure that it reached and
also, just while you're doing that, small correction.
So
MP24 Star Saber was actually 2015, not 2018.
Oh.
Right, just 8 years, nearly 8 years ago, like you said.
Yeah.
So the HasLab Victory Saber it reached all the backers. It got nearly double the backers before that was actually needed to go to production.
Yeah.
So I seem to remember, because this is just a year ago now, but I seem to remember it being like, even because it was so much more economical than Unicron, it just people were like, right, well, Transformers HasLab, and I can actually afford this thing. Like, a lot of people just jumped right on it.
I think that's actually a really important thing to consider in this campaign as well. Like, it's a pretty cheap crowdfund. It's $180. The crowdfunding campaign is what, about 6 weeks long, maybe 5 weeks long. I think it's done in about 42, 43 days, so nearly 6 weeks. It's $180. Unicron got a lot of criticism at Hasbro, basically asking people to cough up $500 on a month's notice, and so they haven't done anything that expensive with Transformers since then. The $180 is a reasonable outlay. Like it might cause some issues for people saving that up, but there's 6 weeks to save it up, so I think people are much more capable of doing that.
Speaking of saving up money, it's an interesting time of year to drop another crowdfunding campaign, seeing as it's very close to Christmas. I did see one of my mates, one of my American friends, commented straight on as soon as this was released, saying probably not the best time of year to release a $180 USD figure during the most expensive time of year for everyone. So that could be a detriment to the numbers we get. It could really impact if we reach all the tiers as well. And I hope we do, because I love all the tiers for this specific guy.
I feel like this is actually about the same time that they announced Victory Saber.
I think it's about basically just straight in the 1 year turnaround, just the same as it was last.
Well,
exactly.
Prove me wrong. Please do.
Let me
check. So the issue is if I go and prove you wrong, I'm probably going to prove myself wrong. So I don't want to do that.
So all the dates are gone from the Victory Saber page. It just said that it was,
I did prove myself wrong.
Yeah.
So there we go. It reached the funding goal on September 29th, and the final deadline was October 10th. So,
okay, so it's
not
a
a lot
month or
closer to
so
Christmas.
later.
Yeah. Not the start of November. So I did indeed prove myself wrong. There you go.
So it is a lot closer to the expensive time of year than that. Well, I mean, it's still close, but this is.
But it's also not actually. It's not actually a super expensive thing compared to some of the things people would be buying.
If it's Unicron, they wouldn't get funded. I'd say if they released Unicron around this time of year, it wouldn't get funded, I don't think.
Well, yeah, because actually there's the current Marvel Legends one is $350 USD, and that's not going to get funded. It's
that's the Ghost Rider car, right?
Yeah, and
let's talk about this a little bit. So the Ghost Rider Engine of Vengeance has hemorrhaged backers in the last couple of weeks. Now, there is a difference in the way that Hasbro's run the campaign for DEATHSAURUS versus the Engine of Vengeance, and it seemed as if there was a bit of a jibe taken at the Marvel Legends guys in the Hasbro live stream announcing this, because with the Engine of Vengeance, Hasbro announced goals as people were coming on to back it. So they announced it, and then they said, if we get to 7,000 people by this date, then we'll reveal this thing. And so they got people piling on for that reveal. But then there was a fairly prominent YouTuber, I think, gave a suggestion. Just said everyone pile onto it so that it forces Hasbro to show their hand. And then if you don't like what they've shown, then you can just back off and not support it and cancel. And indeed, this thing has been losing supporters for a while. Now,
with the interesting thing was,
before we go with that, with DEATHSAURUS, they've actually come straight out and said, right, here's all of the tiers. So we need 11,000 to go to production. At 14,000, you get a weapon pack. At 17,000, you get a flight stand and the Emperor's Throne. So while there is a question, Rob asked, I wonder if there'll be a surprise third tier for DEATHSAURUS. I think maybe, but I also think this was a question that came up around Victory Saber. So what do you pack in with a Transformer for a value add for a crowdfunding campaign, because adding on transforming figures actually takes quite a lot of budget, and so you can sort of make accessories. Yeah, just make some LED powered Energon cubes or something like that. But yeah,
that'll always work. There's no Transformer that won't work with. So
yeah. So sorry, Max, what were you going to say earlier?
Yeah, I was going to say the thing with the HasLab, the Marvel Legends one, was that it's been a real pushback in Marvel Legends collectors to actively not support it, because what they did was they said, all right, well, you wanted a Mephisto figure, you wanted a Goblin Queen figure, like, you know, X-Men characters, which are not related to Ghost Rider whatsoever, you know, like long requested things. We're going to put them in with this HasLab project, and that's how you're going to get it. But after revealing those tiers, they lost backers since revealing those tiers. Like immediately upon revealing those tiers, because people were like, "No, we don't." Like it's almost insulting. It's like saying, "Hey, we want the X-Men fans to rescue this Ghost Rider project because that's the only way you're going to get this figure."
Yeah, that's right. Look, I know that what they've been trying to explain is that thematically, they're trying to do characters that they can't do at retail. So like they'd never be allowed to release a Goblin Queen figure at retail. So
yeah,
they're going to get her out with the crowdfund so that people can at least get that figure. And that's whether that policy has worked for them or not. I think the backers for the project speaks for itself. The Engine of Vengeance has about 2 days left, and it's basically not going anywhere. Let's
Marvel
let's
can't
pop
sell
over
Satan.
and check up on it. Yeah, Marvel can't sell Satan. That's right. Let's pop over and check up on DEATHSAURUS. DEATHSAURUS is basically 4,800 out of 11,000, so it's a little under 50%.
Beautiful.
There. It's got 45 days left on its campaign. So, assuming they don't completely and totally drop the ball on this, it seems very likely that this will be funded. I assume that this will be funded to about the same tune as Victory Saber was funded, because like, why, if you've got one, why wouldn't you go for the other? If you've already got if you've had experience with HasLab projects, you know that they appreciate in value, and so even if you're not that into it, at this point you're probably just going to buy it just for the resale value.
An investment.
Let's check in on the Engine of Vengeance while we're here, noting that the Engine of Vengeance is in the number 1 spot, so it's at 4,800 of 9,000 backers. And that's a $350 thing. Now, I will also point out, they showed this thing on the 1027 live stream, and it looked awesome. But
Chris has seen it in person.
Yeah, I'm also conscious of
cool.
the fact. Yeah, but I'm also conscious of the fact that this is not like the Ghost Rider, the classic Ghost Rider that everyone knows as well. So like, it's a non-core Ghost Rider.
Well,
yeah, it's a bit of a risk. Is like, this is a beloved character, but it's a beloved character that hasn't been in publication the past couple of years.
That's right.
And is competing with 2 other Ghost Riders. Like, people do like Robbie Reyes. Like, I've read these comics; they're great comics. I'm not going to spend, however many dollars it costs to get this in Australia. I don't know what the AUD is on this, but it's a lot. It's just
I think it's 900 or 1,000 or something from EV Games. So the car, the Ragu Overlord says the car Ghost Rider has never been popular anyway. Johnny Blaze and Danny Ketch are the only versions that has fans. So fair enough too.
I've got to disagree. No one likes Danny Ketch, surely. It's just this, and I'm taking it. Just taking a piss, but yeah, it's it is kind of like you can't. I don't think you can point to the specific characters, because Star Saber just got funded, and you know what isn't a character in the West whatsoever? Star Saber.
That's true.
Right, actually, Victory Leo as well. Not many people knew who Victory Leo was before they saw this set. Craig
also says that's not true.
Craig
says Robbie is an Avenger, so fair enough. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure I'm an Avenger if I was in the Marvel comics, but anyway, this guy looks great.
What's your Avenger's name, Mikey? Think fast.
Okay.
That's the opposite.
The Sicilian, because I'm a Siciliano. And I go around going this to people, and I don't know. But yeah, this guy, he looks great. He comes with a wicked.
Hey, sorry, I just want to looking in the comments now. We do have a bit of a comment war going on, because Craig says Danny Ketch is popular, and the Rico Overlord says hanging around more popular characters. So there's going to be a few things going on in the comments tonight, I think.
Oh, there you go. The Scream Man. Mikey's Avenger name, the Stash Lord. Okay, I'll take that.
Stash Lad, not
Stash
Lord.
Lad. Oh, I prefer Lord. I'm gonna make myself a royalty.
Yeah.
Um,
And a good friend Clinton points out it's marketing fundamentals. You can tease a product prior to its release, but you got to showcase all the tiers to entice people to back it. You have to actually give people the perceived value.
Cheers, Clinton. Always there with that that solid head on your shoulders. But yeah, I just can we look at the guy? I just want to look at him and I want to talk about his features because he does everything that you want your DEATHSAURUS to do and more, really.
It does. I'm not sure if I can actually bring these up large size in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit back on my browser window a couple of times and see whether this works. It's not working, so give me a minute.
Not too many times. We don't want to see what else you've been looking at.
If we go back, we should hit. Oh, you know what? It was in a new tab all along. So TFW did
the photos, yeah.
Did give us the photos and stuff there as well. So there we go. There's a shot at robot mode with weapons front view, as the image says. And you know, I got to say also, I spent a while reading the Wikipedia page for DEATHSAURUS, and I've had a nice little run through exactly what the go is with all of his plot lines throughout Victory and the like. I still don't really, I don't really know him that much as a character, but I also kind of don't need to at the moment. He's the nemesis for the other character that I've got coming, so like, yeah, let's check him out.
He's a breastmaster as well. That's a thing.
He is. Now they seem to have they did mention the breast crest, I think, on the character, but they did avoid saying breastmaster, and I believe they've actually rechristened those guys. If we look for these from, I think they are now tiger chest and eagle chest. So you could probably say that they're now chest masters.
Yeah, I think they were.
It's not the same.
Because they were tiger breast and eagle breast, weren't they? They were that.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I don't really care. Look, as long as again, at the end of the day, you can call your toys whatever you want. So as long as yeah. So as long as
it's like the constant changing names of established characters. It's like
it doesn't bother me once. Like as long as the toy's good and it fits its purpose. Chest Force, there you go.
Yes, Chest Force. Thank you, Rob.
Yeah. But yeah, he does. You can swap out his chest partners, and they all transform. He's got the imposing figure of DEATHSAURUS. He's got the classic wings, the like crescent wings. But yeah, the thing that he really does need is his basically kill everything gun with a mace attached. Which is
that is the living metal destroying cannon.
It's just isn't that the most metal name ever? The living metal destroying cannon. Like what the hell?
Makes you think of like the oxygen destroyer from Godzilla. It's like
that's its cousin.
Yeah, it's such a good name.
You're right, but also that's a double barrel hyphenated name there. So, yeah.
Yes, it is.
Living metal destroying cannon. Also looks really cool. We did see, so they cut out bits from the Victory cartoon for the launch video for this, and we did see DEATHSAURUS sort of hooking himself up to the gun, and sort of the I'm not really sure what the symbiotic attachments or something that hook into him. It's interesting to see how they've sort of rendered that in toy form. Looks cool. I mean, it's a big fuck off gun.
It's huge. It's a massive gun, and hopefully, I'm assuming it can, because in the cartoon he does the mace, which also comes out at 14,000 backers, combines with the gun, and it just looks like a fishing pole. It's really weird, but yeah. The cool thing is, right? They totally could have put this at 14, and then like the mace or the gun at like 17 or whatever. They could have split them up, but they did a solid by giving both of these weapons, even though they're technically one weapon, and another tier as well. I didn't know that you got blast effects as well. You've got three things in one tier.
Look, to be perfectly honest, I don't really know why these blast effects are a tier. These are the same blast effects that came with Jetfire, and
yeah, they look like
the same blast effects that came with Balventron.
It's more plastic, all right? It's more plastic.
I mean, The ones that are coming with Victory Saber are a cool green color that we haven't seen before. I don't know what color these ones will be because they're only black and white.
Oh well, but like you got to think the value for the tier is pretty great. You're getting 3 items for 1 tier.
I do actually appreciate, but they've like this whole thing's cast in grey resin, right? Because that's how you do a prototype. But the blast effects are cast in translucent plastic, not grey resin. Like they've
yeah, that's true.
They've
gone
specifically
out of their
done it in a specific like clear grey color,
just to show that
it matches
will be
the grey
translucent.
resin of the prototype. There's something very cute about that.
Yeah. Well, three tiers at 1, so that's pretty cool. And look at it, that's just bizarre looking, but it's so cool. Like it's just a giant chicken monster with a gun.
So, he's actually holding it on over his shoulder like a bazooka. Like
I know.
You can see his right arm holding it up. That's pretty awesome.
It's
actually,
the size of his
is
dragon
he
mode.
holding it up? Yeah.
Yeah, I think
he's
doing
got
like
his little arm propping it up.
His little chicken arm his little chicken arm's holding up that massive BFG.
So he just handed an emu a shotgun. It's fantastic.
Basically, yes. And I just love how, but it's just his dragon mode is just absurd, and that's the best thing about him. He's just a big chicken dragon thing. So that's what makes DEATHSAURUS cool.
It's classic. I think
also the most metal name ever, DEATHSAURUS. So
oh, it's perfect. It's just like
so.
Iconic.
Am I to understand that you guys will be backing this project?
Oh, of course.
Absolutely.
And we
mixture
want
of FOMO, and also it's a bloke that turns into a dragon, and his name is DEATHSAURUS.
And he comes with that massive, what is it, a scimitar type blade? Look, the size
it's
of
ridiculous.
the sword. It's the size of him. So he's got a gun the size of him. He's got a sword the size of him. If it backs well enough, we get a chair for him to sit in. This thing
do
you
reckon he'll actually fit in the chair? Like, this was an issue with 86 Starscream. He couldn't actually sit in the throne that they shipped with him.
It'd be bizarre if he didn't. But like,
there are actually, you can see a couple of slots in the back of a chair, so at least he'll hold in there.
Hopefully. So look, if we're looking at the value for money here, so say they're going to cost the same amount of money, you do get 2 figures with Victory Saber, so you get Star Saber and Victory Leo, and obviously Star Saber's very integrated. He's got multiple modes and stuff. But you look at this guy, he's pretty much the same size as the combined mode of the good guys. He comes with all these accessories and stuff, hopefully the chair and all the guns and weapons. He has chest partners. He just looks phenomenal. Like this, we could never get something of this caliber at retail. So I'm very happy that my gamble paid off, that we actually end up getting a DEATHSAURUS out of this HasLab project. And
because
look at that
the box for Star Saber has like a DEATHSAURUS in the background, and a lot of people, myself included, thought like that's just like a cool piece of art. Like it looks like a tease, but it's not. Like they wouldn't actually go like Victory Saber. Oh, you could see them doing that, but DEATHSAURUS of all things,
know what? I
wouldn't quite see that taking off.
Remember when
here you go.
Remember when we were having a vote for the next Prime, right? DEATHSAURUS was one of the options. Do you reckon it would have been this one or a dumbed down version? Because it would have been a really dumbed down version. So we're actually really lucky that we didn't get that version, and we're actually getting such a like super high detail accessory packed and featured figure, and just I don't know. I'm just really excited for this. I think this is going to be really good.
I think I'm glad we're sort of past for days where, you know, a DEATHSAURUS figure might have been a retool of like a Combiner Wars Predacon or something.
Yeah, we don't
like
want that.
Star Saber would have been a retool of like
Jetfire,
a Voyager jet or something. You know, like this is, they've gone, okay, this is where these characters are going to fit in. It's a proper big premium piece. And
well, you've also got to think these characters are hugely popular overseas. Like they're Optimus and Megatron level royalty overseas. So
that's true.
The fact that they haven't been represented here is quite sad that it's taken this long.
They're
to get
only
representation.
Like a lot of characters, they only exist in Western media in the IDW comics, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and even then, Star Saber in the IDW comics is night and day difference to
He's a very
G1 Star Saber.
Very, very.
Like,
different.
if you read the comics, like DEATHSAURUS is the more heroic and noble of the two characters.
Yeah.
This is a real, like, I quite like DEATHSAURUS in the comics. I think he's a nice bloke.
And I feel I like the way Star Saber meets his fate. It's quite cool that scene.
That's classic. Yeah.
I just want to point out I've got the tiger figure on there. Mark asked if is there no breast force. There is. So you get
both of them.
It comes with the tiger and comes with the eagle. They're not in tier unlocks. They're in the base. Base figure. So with 11,
thank God for that.
You'll get both of these guys.
Imagine if those guys were unlocks. I reckon people would be pissed because like that is a key element to the toy. So
I think that's why they're not.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you for doing that.
I actually want to talk about the throne for a minute as well because are either of you guys familiar with the source material for the throne?
No, but I'm actually gonna. I was thinking about watching Victory before Star Saber came out, but now I feel like with two of these things, I'm gonna have to.
So I'm going to think really hard about it now.
I'm going to think even harder about it than before.
I'm going to think more about it. Yes.
No, I'm gonna have to watch Victory.
I might even download it.
I'm going to give myself a migraine thinking about this.
Yeah,
I might leave it on in the background while I'm cooking.
The reason I bring this up is because to me this throne actually looks fairly organic. There's a lot of
a toilet to me. A little bit.
Sure, yeah. I mean, like that's the part I didn't want to go there, but the throne looks a little bit organic, and I sort of am curious as to whether or not there was something in the source material that explains why it looks the way that it looks. But yeah, I guess.
Hey, anyone in the comments who knows the answer, give it to us, please.
Maybe someone in the comments who knows this will be okay.
Either that, or we'll give it 6 months until I've watched it, and then
and then we'll know.
Yeah.
Luke Gonzaga says this is the Transformers equivalent of OnlyFans pledging all this money for different tiers. I don't know what's an OnlyFans like. Does anyone know? Like,
well, I mean, the best thing is for DEATHSAURUS, you can get feet pics in both modes, so you know that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's true. There's a lot of characters that come with a lot of feet that you can photograph. And Mark does say all thrones do look like toilets, hence toilets being referred to as thrones. I'm not entirely sure that that's really true of all thrones, but sure. Yeah,
I mean, I can see it. Thanks, Mark. I'm never going to look at the throne the same again.
What do you think the slots at the back are for?
Toilet
paper. On your personal bravery.
It's true. It's true. Look, it's early days for this.
Chuck out the picture, the comparison picture.
There we go.
Yeah, look at that.
He's
a big boy.
Wait, I'm going to put the comparison picture up, and then I'm going to make it bigger because it was tiny.
Come on.
So yeah, big boy.
I love the fact that he's like head to shoulders with Victory Saber,
combined,
as Star Saber's combined the Victory Layer. That feels proper.
Do you think they've sort of do you think they've done Victory Saber a bit of a disservice with the size of the base? It's like DEATHSAURUS has a far more substantial base that actually does elevate him up a little bit more there.
DEATHSAURUS has the throne of the Emperor of Destruction. And Star Saber has a little.
And Star Saber's got what he's got. Yeah, we know. He's got a couple of shoulder mounted guns. You know,
he gets what he deserves.
Mm-hmm.
Star Saber is doing his best.
He's trying.
I guess the reason I brought this up is because DEATHSAURUS's stand looks substantially larger than the Victory Saber stand, yet he's still about. Assuming this is meant to be like a legit comparison side by side, like if they're not on those bases, Star Saber's actually or Victory Saber's actually a little bit larger than him by the looks of it. But also, I think that could just be sort of a. I don't think we're actually looking at a proper side by side comparison here. I think we're just looking at some pictures pasted together. So, we'll see. I'm pretty sure that these guys are meant to be comparable in size and stature anyway.
Just looking at that, I'm excited. That looks insane.
How long do you think it's going to take them to show us what it looks like painted even as a CG render. Like
I seem to it didn't take too long with Star Saber, did it?
Oh, it
No.
did. No, it
Did
did.
it?
It took a really long time with Victory Saber. I don't know why. It was really surprising. Like they had us backing grey unpainted prototypes. I'm not sure that they actually showed us the full color version of it until either late into the campaign or after the campaign had actually ended.
Someone's got MS Paint. They can just, do it.
That's true. So look, it sounds like there's a solid 3 thumbs up for Victory Saber from all of us.
2 thumbs up for me.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. I mean, one each. You can have 2 thumbs up if you want to buy 2 of them. But yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
It's a solid investment. It's like if you want, it's the most moral form of scalping there is because they're made to order.
And the best thing about these guys is they're both swordsmen, so you can actually have them, fighting with their swords. So that's, it's not just one guy with a sword fighting a guy with guns. So you can take some really cool photos of them clashing swords. So that's
very true.
Yeah. Did you watch the speaking of which, did you watch the video they put out, like the in-hand video of Victory Saber a few months back, where they showed off some of the articulation?
No.
Was that the
he's
unboxing
got
of
like
STCC?
No, it was a few months before that, but he has like full armpit, like butterfly joints and ab crunch and everything. So
God,
like so you're talking about, just got me thinking. When you mentioned the swordsman aspect of it, like he's very much capable of that. So
can they do this? Like, can they? I don't know what do you call that. Just flex their wrist,
like the pointing down.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Which is
that's a thing that I think Transformers don't do often, and that really sucks. Especially when you have a swordsman, they don't have the ability to actually point their sword. I'd like
half the bloody Star Wars figures that Hasbro does can't even do that. They've all got lightsabers, so
fair.
They'll get there one day. That incredibly obvious thing that they should probably include.
Let's go to one more story on this. So he is actually on display at London Comic Con right this second. There are people filing in and looking at this display. So
my God.
The prototype is on display. The throne's very different.
This prototype is visibly. This is not the same prototype as this up on the HasLab listing. Like this is an early. Like
I'm pretty sure the HasLab listing is just a CG render, whereas this is the prototype.
Yeah, okay, because this is missing a lot of the sculpted detail. Like, yeah,
it actually looks.
A bit smoother.
The throne looks better to me. But yeah, you're right. A lot of the detail on the arms and the joints, like this is obviously a prototype for that reason. Yeah, fair enough too.
It looks imposing. That's the thing,
look, the blast effect is going to be blue. There we go.
Allegedly.
Let's take a look at some of the other photos there. There is in fact a better size comparison.
Look at him.
Between the two of them there. Yeah.
Look at those wings. You can display the wings splayed out a bit. Oh, wow.
I just like the proportions of it. Star Saber has sort of like, here is a Transformer and he just looks kind of like a Transformer, whereas DEATHSAURUS has this very like broad upper body, shoulders, and like this very like Japanese anime super robot, like
imposing.
It's like sort of slightly exaggerated, like more sloping angles and stuff. It just weird immutable fact of it. You can't quite put your finger on, but there's a bit more dynamicism to it. It's really cool looking.
Also, like Victory Saber is a combination of 2 robots joining together, whereas DEATHSAURUS is not. So you have less sort of a less cobbled together look.
Yeah, basically Star Saber with a nice pair of shoes.
Yes, that's right. And I think that's pretty much all we're gonna see there. Someone's cropped out Victory Saber there in the background. Like I said, early days yet. His crowdfunding campaign's going quite well. I'm in for it. I'll be getting this. I'm really looking forward to Victory Saber. Actually, as I said several times, no real connection to the character. Haven't experienced the
Same.
media, but I thought the figure looked really good. And I
It's
think
just
this
a
looks
fun
really
toy,
good
you
too.
know. It's just a toy that can do multiple fun things. You know, you got a little guy, you got the tiny little guy that goes into a bigger guy that goes into a bigger guy that combines with the big guy. So, and one of them's a bloody space lion thing.
It's a very sort of quintessential Transformers kind of deal. You
It
know what
does
I mean?
everything. Yeah, it has
Like,
all the gimmicks of all the Transformers, right?
yeah,
It does everything.
even like the way he combines into Victory Saber, like having a backpack and raised shoes, like that's a very Transformers aesthetic that doesn't really arise anywhere else. It's like it's quite a specific thing. He's just sort of a quintessential version of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, agree. Okay, it's time to move on from one giant thing that's going to take all of the money out of our wallet, and go on to the next giant thing that's going to take all the money out of our wallet, which is the new version of the Roboson auto converting Optimus Prime. Roboson last week announced that they are releasing an updated version of Prime. He's smaller and does all of the things that his larger predecessor can do, and by virtue of being a little bit smaller, he also transforms a little bit faster because all of the joints don't have to swing around quite so far. He doesn't have a trailer at the moment, but you would imagine that maybe in another year or so's time they'll come up with a smaller version of the trailer for him.
The question on my lips is, why, now that he's smaller, do you want him?
I want him because so you were there at Oz Comic Con last month when a lot of us got hands on with Roboson for the very first time. He's just too big. Like there's not a place that I can put him in my collection. The box that he comes in is just a bit too big to sort of have lying around the house. He's on display, like he takes up too much space. A smaller version, I think is a great idea in many ways. I think Roboson's going to do really well with this. What they've done now is they've divided up their product line into what they call the flagship version, which is the original release, and the elite version, which is the new release. And they've said the elite version is going to be the sort of the standard moving forward. It's interesting looking at these photos side by side. I can see some changes to the detailing on the smaller version versus the larger one. The smaller version actually has more vents or grills on the lower legs, and the chest grill is quite different on the smaller version as well. But everything else, all the details look much the same. It looks like they just stuck the original flagship version on a photocopier, set it to 80%, and just went, yep, there we go.
Okay, cool. Good to know. So how much cheaper is he than the big boy?
We don't have an Australian price for him yet. Don came to say it's cheaper. The flagship is 1,400 AUD. This has been announced as $699 US, and the flagship version is $999. So it's
maybe $1,000,
a couple of $100 cheaper. Maybe a $1,000 for this version. We'll see. So yeah, I mean, the best way to broaden your market for anything is to make your product cheaper. So, I think this is going to be huge for Roboson. I think it's a great idea to make a newer, smaller version of this guy.
Do you think they're also doing this because they just don't know what to do next? Because I've seen, so basically when they came out with this design of this idea. They only had a couple other variants of it, and one of them was a hound that actually worked pretty well. They designed a fully convertible figure that looked like Hound, so that's an option. There was this really cool one that looked like the Constructicon Scrapper, and it did pretty much the same thing, but just looked like Scrapper. So,
God, I forgot about those.
Yeah, that's where this that's where this comes
so
from.
long ago now. Yeah,
that's where this comes from.
So that was back when they were called Sen Robotics, and you can still find all of the videos and coverage of Sen Robotics stuff that we said when this was announced year or two ago that we'd been seeing these videos all over the place for years of this company's making a self-transforming Optimus Prime, and then they went really quiet, and then they resurfaced as Roboson with an official license. But those prototypes still exist. I think not every Transformer actually is suited to a self-transforming vehicle, because some of them need to be picked up in your hand and rotated around in order to get pieces to move around. This guy transforms in mostly the same way as a G1 Optimus Prime, which is part of its appeal. But something like I can't think of them specifically, but some figures you need to.
Megatron, you can't do a Megatron.
You couldn't do a Megatron. You could do a tank Megatron, perhaps, but
you could do a Megatron, but it would be incredibly funny.
Like just watching a gun just roll around on the floor.
Yeah, and he's just pick it up and there's a gun there.
There's a gun just rolling around on the floor.
Yeah, I'm good.
If you put a powerful enough motor inside, like the pieces could push themselves around so that it lifts itself off the floor as things rotate.
This one already kind of does.
And you could have this writhing around thing that eventually forms into a realistic gun.
Oh, that's couple of comments. Rob wonders if they'd ever make a Nemesis Prime version. I kind of don't know. Like, I feel like the idea of repainting this appeals to completionists for the toy line, but I don't know whether people really want to buy multiple $1,000 figures, which is also something Mark's picked up on, saying, who's
I think
buy
the thing
a line of $1,000 figures.
The thing of Roboson Prime is that it's like I don't know a lot of Transformers collectors who've actually bought it. It's a lot of the hype from this thing, and why I reckon
I'm actually surprised by the number of people who bought it. Like, there are multiple people within my immediate sort of sphere of influence around TCCA and just around Sydney. There are multiple people who've got this guy already, and they're very happy with it. I agree. I expected less people to buy it because of the price and because of what it actually is, in that it's not a transforming robot. But apparently I'm wrong. But that doesn't necessarily mean people are going to buy a series of them. And I
think the thing of this is there's a lot of hype generated from social media too.
It's true, yeah.
And it's like, maybe like, I don't know if you get that same hype of like, which is why I think this new version is going to do so well. Is you've got 10 million TikTok videos or whatever you're showing. Here's your self-transforming Optimus Prime, and it's this new crash up, great big awesome thing. And I don't know if that works quite as well if it's like, hey, here's Hound. Do you remember Hound?
I agree. Like,
do you remember Hound?
Not quite the same staying power.
You get a particular mileage out of it being Optimus Prime.
Yeah.
Also, I did want to pick up to the question of why did they make a smaller one. Clinton and I were talking about this the other day. Clinton reckons they've improved some of the features, and I also agree that as surface mount technology gets better, the chips that control these things get smaller, and it's just like your mobile phone gets smaller every other year. So, like, why can't you have a smaller Optimus Prime?
Well, can I touch on Nemesis Prime for a bit? So if they are going to do a Nemesis Prime and not just another smaller release of this guy, they'd have to get either another voice actor in to do Nemesis Prime's dialogue, or pay Peter Cullen again to do a evil sounding Optimus Prime for the things that this Nemesis Prime would say, or
they get John Bailey to do it.
Or they get John Bailey, whoever, but they need to redo voice clips for it, which will cost more money for whichever voice actor they choose, or just can make him a mute and just say this version of Nemesis Prime doesn't speak, and it will kind of. I actually don't think
this version
of
Nemesis Prime doesn't speak, but it does look at you with disdain.
It does look at you with its dead eyes, but yeah. So that's the thing. So it's not just a simple thing of just paint it black. It's they do have to figure in, do we get Cullen back, or do we get, John Bailey, or do we get or just go in a different direction and have Nemesis Prime sound like have a different voice. So yeah, so it's not as simple as just putting a new coat of paint on him.
Yeah, it's true. It does look like we've lost Max there, but I'm sure Max will come back in at some point. He says his system froze up for about 15 seconds or so. We'll see. I'm going to suggest that he reboots. Look, as I said, I'm totes in for this Optimus Prime. The fact that it's smaller appeals to me more. If they if they make another smaller version again, I might trade up to that one. We'll see how we go. But like this to me feels like it's sort of a distillation of that that figure what they came up with originally. Welcome back, Max.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right. So to the question of are you going to purchase a smaller self-transforming Optimus Prime? Is it a yay or a nay from yourself?
It's a nay, but like as much as I respect, well, I do respect what it's doing, and I'm like certainly impressed by it. It's just I am a student and I need money.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Like, I enjoy seeing it in person. It's one of those things just like great to see in person, like whenever you can. I have a feeling. So I had a similar toy to this. That back in the day, there was this thing called Robo Sapien, and it was basically a
dinosaur, wasn't it?
There is a dinosaur. So what was that thing's name? Velocipasapien or some widget. So Robo Sapien's just this big. He looks like a Mega Supreme. He's got the Mega Supreme hands, big built bot. This guy was like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and it had this remote, and you could make him walk forward, backwards. You can make him dance. You can make him pick up stuff. You can make him do push-ups and all this type of stuff. And it was fun. But it's fun for a time, and then you kind of just put it away, and then it's done. So I think the only really annoying thing about Roboson Prime is people want to display him in robot mode just standing there, and you can't really do that. So once you can leave him on, and he'll breathe and move. But
he'll
once
breathe.
he powers, well, like he does. He goes like he tilts back and forward like that, like he's breathing.
Jesus Christ! Okay.
Yeah, he's a sentient being, man. So you can't actually, once you turn him off, he kind of ragdolls. So you can't really display him standing up. You can display him happily in vehicle mode, but that's really it. So as a display piece,
this was
not
actually
really.
something that I saw someone say on TCCA a few weeks back, that they were going to look at 3D printing a stand to support him, so that he can actually be displayed standing up.
Yeah, but that's more money you got to spend on it,
So sorry, I didn't realize this. He doesn't stand up of his own accord if he's not turned on.
Basically, yes.
Right. Okay. Because I knew you could pose him like without using the actual features. So like, say you posed him and it was turned off, would he just sort of fall over?
Well, I don't think you can just manually pose him. I don't think that's a good idea.
No, you can't either. Like you do need to actually control him with the app in order
have
to get him to do poses.
App pose him.
Right. You know what? Actually, I say that I'm not actually sure. It wasn't my own property that we had on our Oz Comic Con stand, so I wasn't really willing to try it. But I feel like I feel like it might be something where you could actually move it and it wouldn't burn out them. Wouldn't affect the motors that control those movements. But don't know.
Well, I thought that was the case, but now I'm realizing maybe I know actually nothing about this thing. So.
All you need to know, it's very cool, but would probably get boring very quickly, unfortunately.
That's about right.
Yeah, well, I didn't get very bored of it over the weekend that we had it on the stand at Oz Comic Con. I got to say that's actually I came away from our Oz Comic Con experience with Roboson Prime thinking of buying one, and that's also why I'm looking at it going, well, now there's a smaller one, so yay. I'm definitely there. Don Cam says, hope it's available to be sold. Like, yes, it is definitely going to be available. This is the retail release. Like the previous release is the specialty store release. So this will be available everywhere. So yeah, I say everywhere, but I doubt you'll be able to go to Kmart and buy it. Let's be honest. But yeah, so new Roboson Prime. I think this is coming out in the US before Christmas, or for Christmas. So just after you finish giving Hasbro $180 for your DEATHSAURUS, you can save up $700 for your new.
That's
Roboson
a thing,
Prime.
Chris Hunt. It'll be useless when the app is taken offline. What do you think about that?
Look, it's
not entirely, because you can still do the voice commands.
Okay, so let's talk about that a little bit, right? It is an electronic is a piece of electronic equipment. It does require an app to control it and do particular things with it. However, I don't think that app requires a live connection to servers in order to do what it needs to do. I'm pretty sure the app just has a local area connection. So as long as you have the app, Robeson can die and the app will still run on your phone, and there might be some parts of it that you'll miss out from not having a cloud connection for it, but the app should still be able to control the bot remotely. This is a reference to this is a reference to the fact that companies tie things into online services and then the companies die. And it's quite right to be skeptical of this stuff, but I'm pretty sure from what I've seen that the app doesn't require a live connection to make it work.
Well, there we go.
And Chris does say, "Oh, one day you can't download the app." That's also a possibility. However, at this point, you'll always be able to get a cheap old Android device that you could run the app on. So that'll be all right. And Michael Lennon says the app is a Bluetooth connection.
So basically, if you're ever thinking of getting this thing, go out there, rush out there, and download the app now.
Look, you'll always be able to download the Android APK because there's mirrors for it, and you can sideload Android APKs even if it's not in the Play Store. But yeah, and as Mark says, all AI will be available by then, and Robeson will run himself. At that point, hasn't it become Optimus Prime?
Or he'll just be Chucky and he'll kill you in your sleep.
That too. On that note, let's move on. There's a couple of other news stories I want to talk about. Super 7's reaction, new wave of reaction figures is out. It features a Cyclonus, a Sharktacon, a Wreckgar, Ultra Magnus, and a Quintesson Judge, and nobody gives a shit about any of those figures because everyone wants the prototype Unicron figure.
Also known as the action figure of Orson Welles. No, Orson Welles, the action figure.
That's what I said.
It's like, I think they could struggle to sell the rest of these. Like, they're just reaction things are the most incredibly boring, like, they're just not, like, a bit devoid of any sort of love or passion.
No, look, I know plenty.
It's me being cruel, but you know what I mean. Like,
it is in a way. I know plenty of people who are actually quite into the figures as they're presented in the line. Like, it's nice to have a fairly consistently sized set of figures that represent characters from across the sort of the original series.
Multiverse.
However, they are really expensive. And they're not for everyone. So this guy's $24 By the time he gets over here via my freight forwarder, because you can't find a lot of places who are like doing pre-orders for this. But this product line does end up in specialty stores. But if it comes in an assorted crate, the Unicron's going to go, and then the store will be stuck with the rest of them. Now, I skipped over one thing there as well, because in running through the list of figures, I would probably also go for that Quintesson figure. Let's be honest, that does.
Maybe the Sharktacon as well, actually.
So like, now we're at 3 out of 6, right? As well, I like Cyclonus. I don't really care about Ultra Magnus. I don't really care about. There's already other better representations of these figures and these characters. They have a particular charm about them in like a sort of excuse me, sort of like an 8-bit blockiness. The one thing that I desperately need to know about the Quintesson is, does it have 5 faces or does it only have 3?
Oh, you kidding me? You're gonna have 3 faces on a fight?
This is like
shaky.
Super 7.
They've only
shown I wouldn't
3
put it
faces.
past them.
And they don't even have the death face. They might not, because they're not even showing the death face, which is the best face.
Yeah.
Oh no! It's okay. They do have 5. I just checked. There's the back of the box image.
I was looking for the back of the box image.
Okay, you can see the death face there. Yeah.
Okay, all is good in the world.
We're all good.
Sorry, people watching along with the live stream, it's the 5 pixels in the middle of the screen where my mouse pointer is.
If you're wondering, like, are these guys unprofessional because they've just only now realized this? Yes. I've also.
Yes, we are. Thanks for joining us.
This is the first time in my life I've ever spent more than 5 seconds thinking about a reaction figure. So you'll have to forgive me.
It gave you quite the reaction, though.
I have a reaction figure. It will shock everyone. I'm gonna put myself up here on the screen. I have a reaction figure sitting in front of me here. It is the Christmas Optimus Prime, right? Like, I'm actually really happy I got this. He's in Christmas colors.
That's kind of glorious, actually.
His gun is painted candy cane. He has 4 points of articulation. His arms move and his legs move, but his knees don't, right? Like, the head tilt. So he's got 5 points of articulation. And
G.I. Joe.
Yeah, he's 5 POA. So that's great. Like, I got this one on sale after Christmas from Big Bad Toy Store. It's like, not paying full price for that before Christmas, but by the same token, I do have the Unicron one on pre-order.
Can you lick the gun and tell us if it's actually flavored?
Hang on. Oh my goodness! The gun actually comes out of his hand.
Right, give it a big old lick.
There we go. Ready.
Give it a bite.
Yeah, what's it taste like?
No, tastes like a Switch cartridge.
Touche.
That was a moment in time.
It took you a while to figure it out.
So you've got Unicron on pre-order by himself, right?
Yes, I do, because fuck buying the rest of the wave.
I was going to say, like, I was thinking,
Sharky
like,
looks pretty cool.
They'd probably sell, like, if they went, you can only buy a whole wave, like, they'd probably get away with it based on just Unicron alone with that Sharkticon and Quintesson on the side. Like, they could probably...
to be perfectly honest, I'm actually not sure the denominations in which they sell these figures. This is a wave, as we've called them. It's wave 6. It doesn't mean that they're all sold as an assorted wave all in one box.
Right.
Like they might sell the wave as individual figures. I don't know. My usual sources for these things are around Singapore, and I've asked about the Unicron figure before I went to order it from the US. I asked about the Unicron figure, and all of the stores in Singapore that might stock this stuff, they all just said no, we don't get that stuff because it doesn't sell here. So like the Super 7 Transformers stuff seems uniquely suited to the US market, and
it's a very American thing.
I feel like it's a little bit unfair to say it's an American thing, right? Like there are really good sculptors working on these things, and like
it's not me being denigrating. Sorry, it is. I know. I don't like
it that way, but yeah,
it does sound denigrating. Like I will say, the Super 7 Ultimates, like that is a genuinely cool looking line. Like it's easy for me to be denigrating, but no, like this is. I respect, like I said, like the Quintesson, Sharkticon, and Unicron as well. Like this is genuinely
we're
cool
batting
stuff.
50% on this wave. Like as things that we might not mind having in our collection. However, it's all the things that either there's no representation of because like you're never going to get a G1 Unicron, or it's the things that don't have to transform, and we don't. We do have good figures of Sharkticons and Quintessons now as actual Transformers, but it's still like, I'll have another Quintesson. That's all right.
I'd like to see how the Quintesson scales with your Earthrise Quintesson, because if they do scale pretty well with them, I wouldn't mind one or two of these.
They won't.
They won't.
If you look at the size of the card with the Quintesson and the Prime, he's the same size as this Optimus Prime.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then that's a pass for me.
They are small. They're very small figures. So yeah. But yeah, Clinton says that he agrees with Max. The Sharkticons are nice. You could use them as extras, and yes, absolutely. You know what? There's so many different varieties of Sharkticon that we have, and there's been so many released in the last few years that you also don't really need to sort of set them as a forced perspective thing. You can just have these. There's a swarm of Sharkticons. Some of them are the Cyberverse ones. Some of them are the core or the Legend scale ones. Some of them are the Studio series. There's so many options for Sharkticons now. You can have a swarm of Sharkticons coming from different sources.
Yeah, they fit in beautifully in just a Legend scale display at the very least. Like, they just slot in perfectly.
So, I'm going to go back to Entertainment Earth and pre-order the other the Quintesson and the Sharkticon now as well. We'll see how we go with that. All right, that is Super 7. Let's we're gonna pick up a little bit of speed going through some of these because Brad doesn't like it when we're over an hour, and we're already at an hour and 25. There's just so many things that are going to take our money this week. This is
not including this.
This is a surprise. New BotBots figures are out. It's a good 8 months after the BotBots series came out with absolutely no supporting toys seeing it. We have the BotBots Ruckus Rally, which now features a Netflix logo on the box, just sitting there subtly. And we are looking at the Custodial Crew. It is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I believe it's an 8-pack. I believe it's an 8-pack because I think there's a mystery figure in the center blister pack. They've evolved the way that they hide BotBot figures because of the absolute carnage and destruction that befell the last wave of mystery pack figures, where people just popped the bubbles out.
Just opened up and taken.
Absolutely. So there's the Custodial Crew. There's another different configuration of the Custodial Crew, and there's a couple of different things. And there's the Pet Mob. And I think there's the second configuration of the Pet Mob there as well. We know that there's a couple of vehicles coming out for BotBots this year as well. So seeing a bit of love for BotBots. I have no idea what this is. I'm going to regret putting it up. Mark says, "Is that the Patrick Stewart poo emoji?" I'm actually not sure which one he's referring to.
The poo. There's a poo one in
There's
the first
poo
picture.
Why is that? Oh my god!
Oh wait, is it just on the back?
Picture. No. Go to the first one.
Is it a poo?
There's the poo. It's a poo.
Yeah, that's
genuinely is.
Genuinely a poo.
Officially, I do have to correct you all. Officially, that's a chocolate ice cream emoji.
Oh yeah.
But it has been co-opted by the internet as a poo emoji. But officially, it's meant to be a soft serve ice cream.
It's feces. We all know it's poop.
I also am amused that Hasbro's added a 4th tier to it to avoid any copyright issues with the official design of the poo emoji. However, can I also just point out, like, I'm probably going to buy this pack for the poo emoji line, and also you can see he's actually in the second pack as well. So you can get either configuration, and you will come away with a poo emoji transformer. How's that?
So as long
you don't get a choice.
As long as this means we get a second season of the BotBot show, I'm happy, because I really did enjoy the little mini series of the first season of BotBots. And I just thought it was a really fun, fresh take on Transformers, and they set it up for possibly having a second season. So yeah,
I have not finished it, but I probably should.
My girl kicked me. She's quite the fun character, and all the main characters are just fun little cartoon characters. Look nothing like their toys, and some of them transform differently to their toys, which is
Transformers
weird.
That don't look like their toys. However,
unheard of.
Yeah.
What?
Goodness me, no.
Bamboozled. But yeah, no, I highly recommend people check out that show because it is fun. It's not like your average Transformer show, but it's very much a kid's show, but it is fun. And yeah, I hope we get a second season.
I feel like releasing toys 8 months after the show was released and still bearing the Netflix logo kind of says that there's a second season coming.
Yeah,
maybe.
I mean, I'm to be honest, I'm just really starved for good Transformers media after we've had, the Prime Wars trilogy and the Netflix series. So we just need something good, and hopefully Earth sparks that.
Hopefully. Actually, that does remind me, on Earthspark, I did see some news come up today. So, hang on, I'm going to kick the news stream out and put us back up. Earthspark release date has been revealed, and is a little bit of a disappointment to those of us living in Australia, because we don't get Earthspark until the end of November, whereas it does come out earlier in the USA. So It does, however. So, let's be honest, people will probably be hoisting the Jolly Roger and checking out Earthspark as soon as it's out in the USA. However, it has come out today or yesterday that Nickelodeon in the UK will be broadcasting the first couple of episodes of Earthspark a week before its debut on Paramount Plus. So, I would say if you do hang around those corners of the internet, you'll probably find the first couple of episodes of Earthspark available from about the 5th of November, maybe the 6th of November, because it'll take some time for people to rip the broadcasts. But
let's say 7th, just to be safe.
Sure, why not? So yeah, look, this is a week and a half, 2 weeks away. I think we're going to have some Earthspark to talk about. We'll see how
Mark just asked a question: why have I not heard of this BotBot show? Just literally go to Netflix, type in BotBots, and you'll thank me later.
There we go.
Thank you, Mark. I had that same question, but I was too afraid to ask it.
No, it's a Netflix series. It's a Netflix original. The giveaway should have been that. Jason said Netflix multiple times during the segments, but it is a Netflix exclusive. It
is a Netflix show. You will find it on Amazon Prime.
Yes.
No,
it's just it boggles the mind.
All right, last couple of news stories. We're just going to blow through these pretty fast. This one is actually relevant to the Australian market, which is why we're bringing it up, because none of us have this equipment. Transformers Beyond Reality VR game for PlayStation VR is now launching in Europe and Australia. I believe it's been out in Asia for a few weeks. But yes, if you do have a PlayStation VR set, if you are one of those 5 people, you can purchase Transformers Beyond Reality and experience Transformers slugging it out in VR.
Like never before.
Indeed, like never before. Do we have photos of it?
Yeah, I
believe it's kind of an on rails shooter in a way, right? The Transformers sort of come around and they fight around you, and you sort of
basically
like shoot things and duck for cover. Which, fine, that's fine.
So the glowing endorsement that I've had from my source is that it's basically if you have a VR set, go pick it up. It's probably about, let's say it's going to be $40. If you don't have a VR set, don't go out of your way to buy one just for this game, because you'll be sorely disappointed. So, it's not groundbreaking, apparently, the game. So don't really get your hope. It's been a while since we've had good game media for Transformers.
Whoa, hang on a minute. Look at these
Jason's
seekers.
Noticing. Yeah.
Look at these
it's a weird art style for this thing. So
the designs of some of the bots are what I think they call them the evergreen designs, but I'm just looking at these seekers on this screen and I recognize one that looks like Thrust but doesn't have a cone head, and there's obviously it looks like Starscream in the foreground on a different mold entirely, but what are those colors on the others there? There's a red and white one. And there's a red and white, there's a purple and white one. I'm like, can you imagine seeing some more seekers in some new colors? I certainly can.
Jason's
I'm assuming it's just these are the generic characters.
They're genericons, yeah. They're just like vehicons. They're just, just like you got in Devastation, different colored seekers. They're just that. They're just the cannon fodder.
Mark says the white and purple is SG Skywalker, but I don't know if that's actually an official color scheme or if he's making that up.
Yeah,
but that's certainly a nice looking color scheme for a Seeker there. I also like that. I also do like that red and white as well. That looks pretty nice. Also, the question comes through in the chat: when is Australia getting the Wreckers figures? This is very interesting thing. I've got 2 of them from my Amazon order, and there's 3 more that are apparently due to be released sometime in November or December. There was a point where we heard that they'd be coming out sooner. They are out in other territories, but apparently Amazon Australia is dragging their heels on getting those figures in. If you have pre-ordered them with Amazon Australia, you could cancel those pre-orders and purchase them from Amazon again and get them from Amazon US. They're a few dollars more, but they'll still ship in. So yeah. So anyway, Beyond Reality VR game. It's there if you have a VR headset, and if you feel like playing Transformer stuff. There's a lot of detail in the background of this stuff, which is kind of cool. And the
looks like a reasonably high production value. Like
it does it doesn't look like the models are necessarily great. But I feel like the models are probably handed to them from Hasbro, but still,
some of those, I don't know. Some of these Evergreen designs are just a bit.
Shite.
Evergreen Prime is just
shite.
I don't know. It's just not good. No, I don't know how else to put it. It's just not good.
Not a fan.
Suggestion. Yeah.
Tried.
All right. Last couple of news stories. There is a reissue of Siege Jetfire underway. If you've found yourself wanting for a Siege Jetfire and unable to get it because apparently Target only ever shipped like 5 of them from their original online listing for the thing, which is still there if you look at it on the Target website. But officially, like, this figure basically didn't get released in Australia. It's already been reissued a little bit since then. I think there was a reissue a year or two ago, also skipped Australia. This reissue appears to be China based, and Big Bad Toy Store seems to be bringing in stock from China to sell in the US. That makes it really expensive because they've paid to ship it over to the US, and then you'll be paying to ship it back over. It's $80 US. By the time you get it over here, it's going to be over $200. It's just how the cookie crumbles and things go. But if you do want a Siege Jetfire, there is a reissue out there, and you will be able to get it. So see how you go.
Well, you can get the infinitely superior and better looking Shatterglass Jetfire at JB Hi-Fi right now.
Yes.
So this is actually
own heart.
This is a funny thing. The Shatterglass Jetfire has sold out everywhere. It's like we're actually Bizarro Transformers country. Shatterglass Jetfire has sold out everywhere on the planet, but we have it in every JB Hi-Fi store in Australia. So
I saw one today, and he's gorgeous. I have one.
The great thing is, if you read the comic book that IDW just put out for Shatterglass, like, Shatterglass Jetfire as a character is basically just identical to G1 Jetfire. He's no change whatsoever. He just acts like Jetfire would act in a Shatterglass universe. It's not, there's bugger all change at all. It's the same character. So he makes a perfectly good stand-in your collection.
So there's
just better color scheme.
Well, I mean, like, if you want Jetfire, you probably don't want the black version of him. But that sounded way more racist when I said it.
I was about to say something. I was about to say, not racist.
we all know that's not how it was meant to come out.
And yet it did.
And yet it did. Yeah. So where I was going with this is that there are a number of people overseas who want Shatterglass Jetfire and have cottoned on to the fact that he's available in Australia and have started trying to get Aussies to ship a Shatterglass Jetfire over to them. So I feel like we should be trading Jetfires with the rest of the planet. We'll send you a Shatterglass, you send us a Siege, that kind of thing, But yeah, if you are hunting for a Siege Jetfire, now is your chance. Now is the time. So yeah, go for it. And final order of business tonight is just kind of a footnote, really. The Transformers Rise of the Beasts marketing campaign is going to start in December, officially, according to I think this was something that Hasbro said recently on one of their streams or one of the marketing updates. I think we can expect to see a proper trailer then at that point. And there's also we'll also start to see some material related to the toys.
We just need a trailer, a teaser trailer,
even just
anything.
some character models, like a little bit of art just showing what the characters look like. That's
I want to see what Scourge looks like in his robot mode. I want to see what Nightbird and Flywheels looks like in their robot modes. Just something, please. Mirage.
I think we'll start to see this. You got to remember, it's mid-year. It's mid 2023. So like they don't want to show everything.
But this movie was supposed to be out like ages ago, technically.
And I have the patience of a toddler. Like, I need it.
Same. I need it now. I need it. I want it, and I need it now.
Fair enough. All right. Without any further ado, there we have reached the end of the news segment. Finally, we've successfully made the way through the news. We are at an hour and 40 minutes.
Sorry, Brad.
It's a good thing none of us actually have acquisitions this week, except for Max. Max, what do you got?
Keep it quick. I seem to remember, like, before this show, you were saying, "Oh, we'll try. How can we have a nice quick one tonight?" Anyway, single acquisition, make toys. Forget the name, but God Jinrai.
Is that cross dimension?
Yeah, cross dimension.
Yeah,
but he's a bit more muted than the others. Like, he's still very clearly classic God Jinrai. So the whole idea of this thing was I ordered it on a whim a few months back because there'd been a lot of discussion at the time that, well, make toys sort of barely exists nowadays. You know, like, the only figures they're putting out are convention exclusive repaints for their Seekers. So it's sort of just barely chugging along, and it's kind of like it's almost tragic that Make Toys is not really doing anything new anymore, because, you know, a few years back these guys were producing the absolute cream of the crop of just really creative, innovative stuff in the third party space.
It is interesting. The mighty do seem to have fallen in this case.
Yeah, and they're not the only one. Like, Fans Project, Mech Ideas, a few old third-party companies seem to have just disappeared, and Make Toys is still chugging along, but barely.
There was a point, it would have been about 3 years ago, where a lot of the third-party companies went to ground because Hasbro sued Zeta about their Unicron at the same time as about running their Unicron campaign, at the same time as they were running their crowdfund for HasLab Unicron, and you can sort of look at that as almost a turning point for the third party industry, and where we are now with third party figures is very much a result of those companies sort of going to ground then and you know, sort of hunkering down and withdrawing themselves from a lot of their public spaces. But yeah,
it's a bit of a shame because
I'm just sick of waiting for my Ramjet and Thrust, because, like, it's just 2 more figures I need to complete my Masterpiece Seekers, and it's been 6+ years, and
it's been a long time.
I don't think it's gonna happen.
Well, you can buy some TFCon exclusive Rainmaker repaints if you'd like.
Yeah, because that's what I want.
Over.
No one wants that crap.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a shame because it's sort of I bought this thing because, well, I sort of had this moment of going, like, actually, this era of third party may be basically at an end. Make Toys may be essentially at an end. So I think I might just buy, you know, what is...
You'd like to have something that is their pinnacle beforehand.
Yeah, like the thing that they put out that is, like you said, yeah, like the pinnacle. You know, just an item that really epitomizes what this space was, what this company was. And yeah, there isn't a huge amount to say about it because it's everything you expect from Make Toys. It's that sort of, you know, really cleverly engineered, really stylized, hyperposable, beautiful kind of figure. And yeah, I hope that this is not, you know, things like this are not the last of their kind. I hope that third party can get back to what this was, because this was a real special moment in time.
You know, I actually wonder whether, looking at that, right, if you held that up and I just took a glance at it, I would look at that these days and just go, that looks like a Diaclone, like one of the new Takara Diaclone figures. And I kind of wonder I kind of wonder if Takara's Diaclone reboot has kind of eaten up some of that market, where people might have gone to third parties for some differently designed transforming robots, but now they're still purchasing figures, but now they're just purchasing Diaclone reboot figures.
Yeah, it is kind of a similar aesthetic. Like, just yeah, sort of parts laid upon parts laid upon parts.
I have a feeling that Facebook user might be Michael Adamantis, because he says the yes model cone heads. Because I think I had a discussion with him the other day. So I think I was talking to him about that. So I think they're the cone heads that I'm going to be getting to replace the Make Toys ones, just because I have waited and I've waited. I've been patient. I've pre-ordered them from, I think, was it Zabi or whoever was selling them, whoever had them on pre-order. And I just sick of it. I'm gonna sell Dirge. I'll probably like sell Dirge the next what are those things we do, Jason? The
Collecticon, I think is what
Collecticon things. Yeah, I'll sell Dirge at Collecticon, and I think I might just try and track down these yes models because hopefully they're still available. I'm probably saying this and not knowing, but yeah, I think I've given up, man. I've given up on Make Toys. I really did like Make Toys. Their Starscream, Thundercracker, and Skywarp are really, really, really good, and their league's better than any official Masterpiece Starscream I've handled. I'm really saddened that I'm gonna have to get rid of Dirge, and because I'm just never gonna get the other two.
Yeah, it just seems like it's the last gasps of whatever you'd call that period of third-party figures.
Look, there's still a number of third-party companies that are still going strong, like Fans Toys releases.
But I feel like we don't have that pure creativity that it was, 5 or 6 years ago. Like, there's just all this crazy, insane stuff of varying different aesthetics. It just doesn't feel like that's there anymore.
Yeah. Look, part of that is probably also because Takara shifted the Masterpiece discussion towards a more cartoon accurate aesthetic, and so the audience went that way. So the third parties who were doing their own sculpting and their own detailing and stuff, they also, they found that market drying up. I always found that the hyper detailed aspect of the third parties really appealed to people who are really into the IDW comics art, and like specifically some of the artists like Alex Milne. And as Milne sort of took a back seat as IDW sort of entered its sort of the later stages of Phase 2 and then their reboot in Phase 3, I feel like the market of people who are looking for figures that look like they do in the IDW comics, especially because the IDW comics these days are more specifically designed to look like the toys that we have. Maybe that also contributes to people looking for less of those original designs as third-party figures.
Yeah, I guess that stuff really did drive a lot of the third-party market.
I think it did. I just think the market
just isn't there anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like the last comment.
Bit of a shame.
The Dirge was called Endgame, as like he was called Endgame for a reason. So that would have been Make Toys. Yeah. Make Toys downfall came after Endgame. There you go.
Yeah, good do.
Yeah, sucks.
All right. Okay. I think we are at a point where we can honestly and truly say we've done our best to keep the runtime short. We failed
miserably.
Brad's going to have a fun time editing this one, but I think we're done.
We tried, and that's what matters.
Yes, we didn't try very hard. So that's it. That is it. Everyone, thank you for listening. Thank you everyone for watching along with the live record as well. There's been a large number of people watching us, which means I think that must mean that people really have nothing to do on a Saturday night. So thank you everyone for watching along. If you are listening to a recorded version of the podcast, thank you for checking us out. And do remember that you can watch the podcast live on our YouTube channel. Do like, comment, and subscribe, and you will get notifications when we go live. You can also find the live events posted to the Facebook page for Australian Transformers Weekly and posted in the Transformers Collectors Club Australia page on Facebook. We are a production of Transformers Collectors Club Australia, a registered club in Victoria run by volunteers donating their time, effort, energy, money, and Saturday nights to make collecting life in Australia better for everyone. You can find out more information about the benefits of club membership and how to show your support for what we do at transformerscca.com. That is it for us. We're done. Thank you for checking us out, everyone, and we will be back maybe next week. I don't know. Like, I feel like my wallet needs a bit of time off after this week, so maybe.
Mine does.
Maybe we'll rest next week. We'll see how we go. But yeah, thank you, everyone, and thanks for watching. We'll be back with more Transformers news soon.
See you guys. Thanks for tuning in.